you're still trying to figure out if McKinney is the right fit for you, if you're relocating here to the area, I have an extra special guest. And if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to give a shout out to our current mayor, Mayor George Fuller. He's here with us today. And we're going to go through a couple of different things, but Mayor Fuller, if you could just give us a quick say hello. We'll just go.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. And I am the current and very hopeful to be the future mayor in the city of McKinney. And going through an election cycle right now, actually, but been a resident here for about 30 years.
30 years.
Yep.
So did you grow up in McKinney or did you move here?
No, I wish I was that young. But I moved here. I actually moved to Texas in 86 and moved to McKinney probably 91 and been here, like I said, 30 years. And this is definitely our home.
Yeah. So have you lived in different places in McKinney for the 30 years that you've been here?
Yeah. As a builder, I'm, always building homes, and my wife will tell you that sometimes I sell our home sooner than she would like us, even before we move in once in a while. But I've lived everywhere from El Dorado over to Stonebridge, and now, our next move will probably be somewhere around historic downtown McKinney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. So all over McKinney. From my perspective, I moved across town from the North Louisville area, and then we've lived in North Garland as well. So I've been a native Texan all my life, but yeah, I'm guessing that I know you have a family because I've seen photos. Yeah. How many kids do you have, and do they all go through the McKinney school system? And how was that?
Yes. Like? So I have a 31-year-old who works with me in the construction business. He went to school here just a little bit. He went to Virginia most of his school career. But I have my daughter, Miljan, who we adopted when she was 9 from Ethiopia. She has gone through the school system here in McKinney, along with my son, Rain. And he's now a Golden Knight in the Army, parachuting from perfectly good planes, which is actually, oddly, we feel safer that he's doing that than being in the infantry. And then I have my youngest daughter, Layla Grace, who also graduated from McKinney, Boyd, and she's an artist and making her way through the world. And I've got 2 grandkids that live across the street. And my son, Austin, my oldest son, Austin's wife's parents live here. So we have 4 generations living within 25 yards of each other.
Wow.
4 generations.
That can be good and bad in certain instances.
It's all good for us, but yes, once in a while.
Right. Yeah. So why did you, because obviously you moved here, you've been here for 30 years. What made you move from where you were before?
I moved to McKinney mostly because, we had some friends here. And so I'd say that my wife and I ultimately actually were married in McKinney, but we were introduced to the area by some friends of ours. And then I started building. I bought some property in El Dorado and developed an 18-home little cul-de-sac and built a home for ourselves there. And that was our first home we had in McKinney on Brookside Court. And so it was just business and friends that lived up here, and pretty. It was it's a pretty area.
So what, since you've been in new construction or you're a builder, what parts of McKinney have you built out and oversaw? So
I've built, throughout El Dorado area, I built quite a few homes over there, both on the north and south side of El Dorado, just west of Central Expressway, and all through Winding Creek, off Hardin Road, and in Stonebridge quite a bit. And of recent, the last 10 years, I've been developing and building Adriatica, which is a 46-acre master planned mixed-use development with residential villas and condos and multifamily and above retail and restaurants and office space and an island chapel and everything else you can imagine.
So you built a chapel there. I didn't realize that you built a chapel. That's really, really cool. Because I know when I was doing research, because I have a video out on Adriatica to give people an idea of what it's like, what housing types are available, what they cost at the time that I did the video. Now they're different, right?
Yeah.
But it's really, yeah, because that was the first time that I had reached out to you, and I had no idea that you were the mayor when I spoke with you then. And then later, after the fact, I was like, George Fuller, that sounds familiar. Oh, he's the mayor. Oh, okay. So
I've got a lot of different lives, though. I mean, I'm the mayor. A lot of people know me only as the mayor.
Yeah.
I've got a construction development business, and people know me as that. I'm a guitar player in a rock and roll band with my wife, and some people know me as that. And sometimes those worlds collide, and you see a lot of looks of confusion. Like, what? I thought you're a guitar player. Yeah, I'm a guitar player and builder and developer and mayor. But I wear a lot of different hats, and sometimes multiple at the same time.
Yeah. So you're busy just like I am. I've got 5 kids, so I can relate to the busyness that you experienced.
I grew up in a family of 5, so.
Okay. My husband did too. He came from a pretty big family, and then my mom was one of 5. But I've only got 2 younger brothers. That's about it for me. So you've been the mayor of McKinney for the last 4 years, from what I was reading. And and I know that you had a recent meeting in April about the new growth and development for the city. And I wanted to see if you could kind of share a little bit about what the plan kind of looks like and what kind of response you got from the community.
The plan on you're talking moving forward in development over on the east side and that type of thing?
Yeah, we'll start there.
Yeah, so, it's McKinney, of course, one of the fastest growing cities in the country, as you know. And our growth has always been to the west and to the north, and it will remain to the north. But we're now moving a lot of our effort and just our vision over to the historic east side, so the east side of Highway 5 and what's referred to as the old Mill District, which is home to all these older, what's called pride communities. They're original communities over on the east side in that Mill District area. So, we're starting a project there with a new municipal facility and city hall and a number of other businesses that are going in on the front side and catalyzing just a complete, rejuvenation of that part of our community. And I think a lot of people are very, very excited about it. And we certainly are as well.
Yeah, I know that because I recently helped someone purchase in the historic district. There's a lot of grant money and stuff that has been put together for the downtown area specifically, but then also for some of the historic homes that are trying to which you're trying to keep preserving by the grant incentives.
Yep. Yeah. So we have what's called a TUR. So, and that just means that when it was created, the city council at the time identified this geographic area and said, in this area, we're gonna look at what is the property and sales tax today, and then everything that's raised above that yearly in revenue, we're going to keep in this special pot and invest in the community. So, because you have a lot of really expensive renovations, because we are very strict on maintaining that historic area, and it's protected as a historic area. So, if you want to put in, or you need to put in new windows, you can't just go buy an inexpensive vinyl window. It has to be a wood window that fits in the character and the time period of your home. So, but we help people with that, and businesses, that there wasn't fire sprinkler systems when these buildings were built 100 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And in some cases they're that old, but we make sure that we keep the historical aesthetic character and integrity while we help subsidize, people knowing that that's an expense above and beyond.
Yeah. So is there anything, I know that I was hearing about, Painted Tree that's developing to the north of 380, I think right where Lake Forest and 380 meet in that corner, and that's coming 2022. And then there was another community that I was hearing about that was in Weston, which is just north of McKinney. I think that's north of Trinity Falls, from what I remember geographically. And in Weston, they were there's another beach area that they were going to put together. Is Weston going to be engulfed in McKinney, or is it still going to be separated?
It probably not. I mean, no, it's that's not the plan at this time. Could it be? I don't know if we could annex them or not. I have to be voluntary, and we'd have to decide we want them.
Right.
Right now, they're one of our little suburbs to the north. But,
Yeah.
The Weston's a very cool little community. But we have Painted Tree, and we also have Honey Creek is another area that's going to develop up north of us, and so we have these big 12 and 1600 acre sites that are thousands of homes and it's a golf course on one of them, and all kinds of outdoor trails and great park and creek and just trail connectivity through Painted Tree, which would be very, very cool.
Yeah, because I was reading a little bit about it, and I'm really excited about that community. But whenever I look at the lumber costs, and I know you feel the same way. It's just
Yep.
Everything.
Lumber's crazy. I mean, a year ago we paid $300 for 1,000 linear board feet. Now we pay $1,400. So the price to build homes is just skyrocketed over the last year. Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people are feeling it with the increases weekly and monthly with some of the builders that are still building in Trinity Falls and Auburn Hills and some of those other communities just north of 380 too. So, but even the one community that's, I think the Grand Home community that's in South McKinney, which is where I'm closest to where I live, their prices are continuing to go up and to blow minds.
Yeah, I mean, there's in Trinity Falls, there's price increases, or even north of or east of there or west of there. Prices, it's not uncommon to see a $50,000 price increase, which is, or $225,000 over a course of 6 months. That's a crazy jump in pricing. But
it is. And a lot of the lots are like being not released, and then they'll get to a certain point and they'll release so many lots too. So it's very difficult, I think, to get into new construction with all the wait lists and the high demand for inventories being so low and everything. We're kind of getting into that real estate groove a little bit. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but for those that are watching that are considering relocating here to McKinney, because McKinney is still a good area a great area to live. I live here, you live here.
Yep.
We have lots of other friends and family that are in the area. So what makes McKinney different than Plano, than Frisco, than some of our Allen, and some of our neighboring communities?
Well, the very cool hip mayor that plays guitar. That's one huge difference, and it's a great attraction for. Now, what makes us unique, I think, is McKinney started off as a bedroom community, if you will. So the focus was on residential. People were moving here to get away from the city, from either North Dallas or Plano, and where there was a lot more development and commercial development. And so people migrated up here for the trees and the natural rolling hill kind of beauty of McKinney. And of course, as that happened and as it continued to grow. And you get 121 was improved however many years ago that was, and Central Expressway finally improved. Well, that starts to bring in, of course, commercial development and business development. And so I think what McKinney has is we've got a great mix of that. We've got our commercial corridors, and then we have our historic downtown, which can't be replicated anywhere else, not authentically. And then still to the north, all the rolling hills and trees and emphasis that we put on that aspect of the community. So, it's you're not going to get that very easily in any of those other areas. Plano, of course, is all built out residentially for the I was going to say for the most part, but almost completely now. Yeah. And then you've got Frisco, which is an awful lot more concrete, if you will, than McKinney.
It is, yeah.
But but we're starting to attract some really, really great entertainment, things up here in McKinney. Like we have a development called District 121 in Craig Ranch, and that is going to be kind of a legacy West type development. We've got 14 restaurants. We've got entertainment venues, outdoor entertainment venues, and retail shopping and office and mixed use. So we got a lot of things happening in McKinney.
I'm excited about that because I was reading about the Hub 121 because that was going to start in this next year, right?
Well, Hub
Are they
121 is under construction,
Yeah.
and District 121 is just started as well. And but you're not going to see, you won't really see a tangible part of that probably to the end of this year as it starts to go vertical. I mean, there's some things. We have Independent Financial, which is a huge. That was a huge building and just a corporate headquarters located there. And they're building a second phase now. But the restaurants, the retail in District 121 is coming. And Hub 121, we're working on that outdoor amphitheater right now. So really great stuff that's going to be, they're all connected by walkways and bridges over the creek and park and all that.
Yeah, and then all the events in downtown really bring a strong crowd too. Like I remember a couple of years ago when we tried to go to OKtoberfest for one day, and it was like you can't. I mean, we're right next to people everywhere, and there was trying to get a parking spot is just crazy.
Yeah,
during those big events.
But it's they've become huge. Those events, OKtoberfest and Home for the Holidays and Scare on the Square and and we have Amy Rosenthal who heads up the Main Street, plans all those events. She's just an incredible talent and asset to the community.
Yeah, because there were people there that were driving all the way here from the likes of my friends that live in Capel.
Oh, yeah.
They were driving. They're like, let's go to OKtoberfest, and they were just. I mean, she did a great job.
She's really, really awesome, and brings a huge sense of community for everyone to get together and congregate on the square, and it's wonderful. You can't get that anywhere else.
And I think McKinney as a whole, like you were saying, with all the green spaces, there are, I know there's Stone Ridge. Okay, this is where I'm going to get a little bit crucified, but all the golf courses that are in McKinney, I feel like there are more golf courses and green space in McKinney than any other city. Like you said, Frisco's more concrete, even though they do have some spots. Right. And then Plano, I mean, it just depends on the area. If you're in that area that's like closer to the nature preserves and stuff on either side, you may have a little bit more green space here and there, or closer to around one of their country clubs. But they're also pretty concrete in a lot of their development and places as well.
We brought a guy, Mike Kowski, is our parks director. And he is a guy that is tremendously passionate about not just parkland and green space, but connectivity with all those spaces. The plan right now is we will ultimately be connected by park and trail throughout the entire city. And right now we have about 65 miles of trails in McKinney, which is pretty unusual for
very significant.
And that's through 65 square miles when we have another 50 square miles to go to build. So we're just over half built out, and all of that is what we can brag about today. Imagine what it will be when we're built out. Yeah,
it's already nice, and it's going to get better. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see. As far as because we've been mayor for the 4 years here. What was the point when you realized, hey, maybe I should run for mayor? When did that all happen? I mean, because nobody just wakes up the next morning and says, hey, I'm going to run for mayor.
No, it happened after 5 hours in a bar. No, that's not true. McKinney being such a fast growing community, the gentleman that had announced he was going to run, very, very fine person, civil engineer. And I just felt that for the growth that we have and the pace that we're growing, I felt that my skill set as a builder and developer and kind of on the creative side, I felt would be an asset to the community. So I threw my hat in the ring and ran and ended up winning. But there was a lot of deliberation over it, for probably a month or month and a half, while I toyed with the idea and talked myself out of it and talked myself into it and then out of it. But once I signed on the dotted line, if you will, I was all in. And
Yeah.
and it's tremendously rewarding. It's challenging. No one thought 4 years ago that we would go through a pandemic. We'd have a crashed economy, that we would have all the social unrest that's, gone across the country and for obvious reasons. And that found its way, of course, right here in our community. And then the winter storm and power outage across the state. So, I didn't, when I decided to run, I certainly didn't anticipate those things, but those challenges, I think, make it a far more rewarding experience in the end, even though when you're in the middle of them, you're kind of asking yourself, what did I do this for?
What I get myself into.
But at the end of the day, it truly is. It's rewarding. And I'm glad that I've been able to be in the position I'm in through those challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was going to mention that. First, was the pandemic, and then, and even at that point, I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know if this is going to be really bad, if it's going to be, when is it going to be okay? When is it going to be safe? And everyone was trying to make heads and tails of it. We're doing research as we go and trying to figure out the answers and the solutions. And I'm sure a lot of people were like looking to you for answers, and you're just like, I don't know. That's how I would feel. It
was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
And then the winter storm, which was, it's the worst. All of Texas got hit, and that hasn't happened. I think they said in the last 100 years, just the entire state, being. And then the impact that it had on the grid, it wouldn't be as bad if it was just North Texas, because North Texas does see snow from time to time. But when we got hit with the power grid and electricity's going out, and then I'm sure hustling, trying to make sure that you're trying to get residents into heating stations, warming stations, trying to help in that way, and an aspect too. It got really crazy.
It was very unexpected. And it's funny. I was on a call. I've been calling a lot of people as we're in early voting.
Yeah.
And I had one woman who was very interesting. She was actually very mad at me for the way we handled the storm. And she said, you should have been more prepared. You should have had cots all stored up and ready to go. I'm like, I don't know that we would have cots stored for something that happens once every 100 years, but I understand the sentiment. Yeah. But I thought we actually fared pretty well, all things considered. And I know that some people got hit much harder than others, and with pipes breaking and whatnot with the freeze. And I don't want to take away from the challenges that they've had, but comparatively speaking, as a city, we rallied together. Even during the pandemic, we started this thing called One Heart McKinney, which was putting together just business people, nonprofits, the city, all coming together, raising money to help one another. A business grant program called McKinney Strong that we did during the pandemic on the front side. We were one of 4 cities throughout all of Collin County to handle and distribute CARES Act monies. And so we, as a community, really came together. And it was actually a beautiful thing to see, as, up until some of it became quite politicized. But prior to that, it was, and during the storm, everyone was together, and it wasn't about anything other than helping fellow McKinney residents. And that was great.
Yeah. And I'm also glad we didn't lose any water. Like, I know that some counties were struggling with the water issue, and they had boil orders in effect.
Yeah, that was never us. Never us.
Yeah, which was another lifesaver as well. So kind of going into back to the local business aspect, how have the local businesses been impacted? Because we were doing really well before the pandemic hit, and then once the pandemic hit, I think we lost a couple of businesses. Or what have you seen on your end as far as local businesses?
We fared really, really well. I mean, our sales tax dollars, for example, one way to measure it, certainly it's not foolproof and not the only way to measure, but if we look at sales tax dollars, sales tax revenues, most cities were experiencing a significant drop and being, under the previous year's month. We stayed consistently over our, same month the previous year. So our April sales tax collections, May, June, July, August, September, all the way through now, has paced somewhere between 6 and 14% above the previous year's same month. So, that's not every indication, but it's one indication that we fared pretty well. And again, as a community, we all pushed one another to remember our local restaurants, our local merchants, and we, unlike many other cities, especially when you talk about downtown, those aren't big chains, those aren't big corporate held companies. Those are mostly individual mom and pop kind of shops. And you would imagine they would be hit harder, but and again, not to take away, they all were hit hard and struggled and had to make great sacrifices to survive. But between all their heroic efforts and then the community coming together, I think that we fared extremely well, comparatively speaking, to our sister cities.
Do you think that some of the businesses that went out, do you think that they're going to try to make a comeback here in the couple of years, or
I know a couple of restaurants that did not make it, but I've talked to not everyone, of course, but I've talked to a number of different chefs and people business owners that did close. And I don't know that everyone's going to be back, but there's certainly a number that will, and they're already there's some that have reopened that were closed down for about 6 months and now have come back and opened. But it was tough. That was a really tough period that nobody expected. This was.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the mom and pops got hit the hardest for sure, like you were saying.
Yeah, but the other side of that maybe is that somewhat lower overhead, and maybe it was somewhat easier to survive. There's a lot of federal funding that was available that helped a lot of people as well. But I have a venue business, and that venue business we shut down virtually for 6 to 7 months of 2020. Just completely shut down, no events whatsoever, and that's tough. When you have that and you continue to have to pay overhead and you keep your staff on, but we all came out the other side, thank God.
Yeah. So compared to I guess when the pandemic hit to now, where have you seen your business? Because like you said, you have the Guitar Sanctuary, and now we're at 100% capacity everywhere. So where's your business now over at the Guitar Sanctuary?
So the Guitar Sanctuary has actually bounced back really well. And I would not have expected that. I expected to suffer there more so than we did. We have an expensive, our shop is a boutique shop, so more high-end guitars and amps and stuff. Yeah. And with all the economic devastation, I wouldn't have expected, if you had asked me, a year and several months ago how we would do, I would tell you, man, it's going to be really bad. But that wasn't the case. We survived, and now we're doing actually very well. Our venue business, although it's 100% capacity under the governor's executive order, there's still a lot of people not comfortable with that. So we are still extremely slow in that business. Where we would have been booked this time of year, we would have been booked every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes twice a day, and then sometimes during the week. And we're booked, once every couple of weeks. Okay. So really, we're still struggling as a venue, but
as a venue. Okay. So, and you're probably not the only venue that's struggling in that capacity, I would imagine.
Yeah, a lot of. I think everyone in my industry and all the musicians out there. There's bands that make their living, of course, playing in clubs and bars and private events and whatnot, and all of that was closed down and shut off. So, a lot of musicians that are out there, my heart goes out to them. And luckily, me and my wife are musicians, but we have a number of other things that we do that are able to, sustain us. But there's a lot of people that don't. That's their whole livelihood, is playing music.
Yeah, I think probably, I'm guessing that those that were musicians maybe had to shift. They had to shuffle and shift. What can I do in this interim while things are a little bit crazy? I know some musicians were doing the live stream of, feel free to donate kind of situations too, when they were broadcasting live on Facebook. So I saw some of that happening as well.
Well, and a very good friend of mine who's a tremendous musician and just one of the literally best guitar players in the world. And the pandemic forced him to, obviously, like everyone, think outside the box. And so he started putting together shows that he would stream and either sell tickets to, or there'd be the ability to, I don't want to say tip him, but but contribute money to as he performed. And he ended up finding quite a good, making quite a good living doing that, which he probably would not have gone down that road if he wasn't forced to. So it forced some creativity from a lot of people, and as a result, they found new streams of income that may not rely on them as heavy now that they can perform out again, because there's nothing like performing for a live crowd.
Right.
But certainly, for those who were able to, they came up with great opportunities that just were not thought of before.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's kind of what happened with everyone. Everyone tried to get as creative as possible to try to survive, for sure. So I know we talked a little bit about downtown. Is there still availability and opportunity for businesses in downtown McKinney? And what other sections of town would you say are we need more businesses to start taking hold in some areas?
Yeah. So downtown, there's definitely some opportunities still there where there's some availability in space, but again, luckily they've all done fairly well, and there's not a whole lot for rent there. But as we start our development on the east side, there's gonna, this will be a complete revitalization. And right now, there's a fantastic restaurant there called Local Yokel. It's owned by Matt Hamilton. That's on the east side of the tracks, east of Highway 5. But that's rare. That's, he went out and kind of was a pioneer in staking his claim to that area, and has done well. But that's the only place over there like that for the most part. So, as that develops out, as we invest $100+ million as a city in infrastructure and our municipal complex, other businesses will venture over there, and there's going to be just a huge opportunity for many companies. And we will maintain the same character as our historic downtown. Obviously, as new structures go in, they'll be new, but we're going to have them. They will be required to, keep that historic downtown charm.
Feel. Yeah.
Or eclectic, anyway. I mean, it won't necessarily be that. It won't be that they have to build like a historic home or historic property, but we will have standards in there that protect the area to make sure that you're not going to come across a hugely contemporary whatnot. But it's just great opportunity on the way, and then everything along the tollway and 121. As I said, as District 121 and Hub 121, there's opportunities there for McKinney. And then we have our next big retail intersection as Lord Howell gets built out, and Central Expressway, which is north of 380, a couple miles.
Yeah.
That'll be another, and that'll be the road, the exit that you'll take for things like Painted Tree and Honey Creek anyway. So we're growing and a lot of opportunity for in a lot of areas.
Yeah, there's been a lot of growth, especially in the retail restaurant side of things, right where that Cinemark is off of Hardin and 380. Like that area has really boomed a lot.
It's grown tremendously quick. And, and it's great. And we've, some really cool restaurants up there. And it's a great area. Now, speaking of, you said Cinemark, gosh, theaters, they have suffered. And movies, I guess, are starting to play again, and I need to go watch a movie because I'm a big movie guy, but I haven't been to a theater in well over a year.
That's crazy to think,
I used to go to, my wife and I would go to movies on a very regular basis. We enjoy movies, enjoy the escape. And it's weird to think when right now I can tell you we haven't been to a movie in a movie theater since what would it be? April of last year. So at least a year.
Wow. Yeah, similar here. And I think once we start to get some of those bigger box movies out, I think we'll probably start to see hopefully gradual reintroduction into the theater. But who knows? A lot of these streaming services has kind of taken market share in that space.
Yeah, and that's great too. For people that don't want to get out, but there's something to be said for going out and of course, I was about to say, in a movie, you're not socializing with other people, but it's still nice to get out and more like a date.
Yeah, like a date. Yeah,
date from the kids or the whatever distraction you have at home.
Yeah.
So hopefully the movies come back strong. I'm a big movie fan.
Yeah, me too. They keep delaying Black Widow, so I want to see that one.
Black Widow, the new Top Gun, that's been delayed several times.
Yeah, that would be a good one too.
Yeah, and Val Kilmer has an appearance in there, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh wow! I don't know how that. I think the last movie that we'll not go there. So we talked a little bit about the businesses. So if someone is kind of outside looking in, why should someone consider moving to? Well, I guess we kind of already talked about.
I mean, besides the rock and roll guitar player, Mayor.
Yeah.
Besides that, yeah. Well, like we said, it's now home prices are tough here, right? And it's that's one thing that's hard, as you know. Our average price home the last time that was looked at was $353,000, but I got to believe that it's now closer to 400. So, but that aside, because you're going to find that everywhere. McKinney, where are you going to get a historic downtown, a Croatian village on the west side, 65 miles of trails growing to 100 plus miles of trails, with all the entertainment and close proximity to close enough, right? With 121 and the tollway to the airports.
And 75, you can get anywhere you really want.
And we have our own airport that's going to be providing passenger service in the near future.
Oh, really? Okay, so tell me more about that. I'm excited about this airport.
Yeah, so the airport, our airport is a great asset to the city, and a lot of people don't recognize or they don't understand the benefit, and I probably didn't either before I got into local politics. But right now we're a business airport, right? So it's our fixed base operations and business terminal and our business hangars that we lease out. When you've got Toyota or Emerson or Texas Instruments with hundreds of millions of dollars in jets that sit there at the airport, they're paying property taxes and school taxes. So you've got hundreds of millions of dollars of value paying school tax and property tax, and they don't drive on the roads or they don't send little planes to school. So you've got just all this subsidization of homeowners. And when you think about, how many homes you've got to have and how many families and how much infrastructure for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in property versus jets that sit on in a hangar. And so that helps all of us in a huge way. And I sometimes I heard people say to me, "Oh, we don't care about the airport. We don't fly. We don't have a plane, and that's just for the rich or something like that." And no, it actually helps every single one of us in a very, very tangible way. But now we're getting ready for what will ultimately be a full passenger service terminal on the east side of the airport. And right now the studies that have been done, we've been approached by a number of developers. And the studies that have been done demonstrate that the traffic is here almost threefold what it would take to substantiate having or sustain passenger service. So it's a big reality, and the airlines and the interest that's been shown is not just what someone would think. If you would ask me before I was mayor, what kind of passenger service would be out of McKinney, I would have told you my guess would be regional. Maybe Oklahoma City, Austin, Houston, San Antonio. But the reality is it's going to be all those in Miami and Chicago and New York City and Denver and LA and Seattle. So, there's going to be and we already have a 24/7 customs that will be beefed up to be able to handle passenger service as well to Mexico and places like that. So, we're going to have it's going to be a fantastic economic driver. That airport right now produces about a $212 million annual economic benefit to the region. When you talk about passenger service, you're talking about billions.
Yeah, and what better place to have it than McKinney, because that's where the county seat was so many years ago, or it's still, I guess it still is in McKinney.
Yep.
But where it got established, and yeah, I mean, an airport would be, especially since we're so far north,
Yep.
it would really be able to service a lot of those bigger areas like Plano and Frisco and Prosper and Salina, and that are growing leaps and bounds, as well as McKinney.
Yeah. Well, as the studies that were first done, or the studies that were done to identify how many employments, how many people would need to fly out of this to make it a sustainable terminal. Mm-hmm. And whatever, I don't remember that exact number, but whatever it was, as I said, when they did the study, they came to the conclusion that there's 3 times that now. So whereas people were talking about, passenger service in the next 5 to 10 years, that's when the demand will be here. Well, we've actually now identified the demand is here and been here. So I expect this to happen sooner rather than later. And the roads that we're planning from Spur 399, all the 380 connections, we're very consciously thinking about all of that and deliberately thinking about where that happens on the east side of the airport. So as people are coming up from Plano, or they're coming from Denton, or they're coming wherever they're coming from, they're not coming through the city and creating that traffic congestion. They get looped around on the outskirts of the town on the east side and of the airport. So really, we're completely poised for great opportunity in passenger service at the airport.
Yeah, and then you got Van Alstyne and Anna that are growing leaps and bounds, as well as Princeton too.
Yeah, and as they come south on Central Expressway, they'll hit the outer 380 loop, not the outer loop, and they'll hit that bypass, and they'll be on the way north side of town and brought way over to the east. And again, never driving through coming down, exiting Virginia or El Dorado and
congesting that area. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's very exciting.
Oh, that makes me, because I know that they were talking about it, I guess, a couple of years ago. They were really talking about the airport and the possibility of future growth there at the airport, but I just didn't know how far along we were. So thanks for that update.
Yep, we are far along, very far along.
So those of you that are watching live, if you have any questions for Mayor Fuller, now is your opportunity. And while we're kind of waiting on those questions, I know that your wife said hi. Oh, hi, yep. And then my friend Rod, he's clapping. I guess he's saying hey. He lives in New Braunfels. And then my good friend Michelle says thank you. And then I guess Jeannie.
I see that.
Yeah, she loves her rocking guitar player, Mayor. And then Michelle says hello, and she says that she wants to move to McKinney soon. Well, Michelle, we'd love to have you.
Well, we need to send her, she needs to do an interview, and we need to, we had to first make sure that.
Oh, okay.
Kidding.
Can't just let anybody in, right?
We gotta protect what we've got.
Right. So last little bit here. Why should everyone re-elect Mayor Fuller? We'll just put it there.
Well, I think that, I'll tell you what I know. I know that over the last 4 years, not to give a political 2-minute elevator spiel, but I will.
Yes.
We've had the lowest property tax rate that we've had. Our first, what's called no new revenue. So something, the value of everything that existed last year, the revenue from that this year after adjusting, we lowered the rate to adjust for appreciation of the homes, has been flat, been zero, no new revenue. And that's the first time we've ever had a no new revenue tax rate. We've had the highest business growth over a 4-year period that we've ever had, growing our business tax base nearly 50%. Our airport is profitable. It was requiring city subsidy 4 years ago. We've gotten a AAA bond rating, which people may not realize that saves us on our tax rate as well. And we're the safest city in the state of Texas now, our size, thanks to our fantastic police and fire department. We have the Byron Nelson for the next 5 years, the NCAA Division II championship football game the next 5 years, and just so many great things that have been accomplished over the last 4 years, and certainly not that's not a indictment of just Mayor George Fuller. That's a unbelievable city council,
Yeah.
7-member city council, a city staff, a city manager that is better than any other city manager in the country. And so it's a testament to all these people working together. And we've got more to do. We have a lot more to do. And we're now getting ready to develop the east side. I talked about, what we're doing. What I didn't say is we're taking Highway 5 below grade, capping it with a pedestrian park in that whole area adjacent to historic downtown. So you'll be able to be on the square and eat a meal or whatever you're doing on the square, shopping, and then walk across a park over to the old Mill District, go eat dinner at local Yokel, or sit on the rooftop bar and restaurant at the Flour Mill, or come to a concert at the Tufts campus. So just crazy good things that are happening, and I need to be here another 4 years to make sure they happen. So that's
Yeah.
If you like what's been happening, you need to vote for me. And if you don't like what's happening, then stay home. Voting's not important. It's overrated. It's overrated.
It's overrated.
Unless you're voting for me, then it's critical. Critical. The most important election in the history of elections. But we do. We've got a very well-oiled machine that's been working very, very well together, and that's under attack right now by another group. And I think that we will prevail, and our city will continue to move forward the way it has been.
Yeah, well, I'm excited, and just knowing your background. The other thing too that I really, you are very accessible. You do make yourself very accessible to the people that you serve, and I think that's a very, it's an amazing quality to have as a person. And so I
definitely try to be. I mean, I put out my cell phone number. Everyone says, "Well, what number are you going to give out?" My cell. No, you got to get a different number. No, give my cell. I mean, that's
Right.
that's the way to reach me. And if I want people to reach me, I might as well give them the actual number to reach me. So,
right.
My wife and I have been very, very involved in this community for 30 years, and way before being mayor. And so this is an important place to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that sounds great. I don't think anyone has any last minute questions. If they wanted to reach you directly, do you have like a Twitter or you've got a Facebook page that you?
Yeah. So Facebook is, of course, Mayor George Fuller, and Twitter and Instagram are both Mayor George Fuller. And so, anyone can reach out. My email is G Fuller, G for George, of course, Fuller at McKinneyTexas.org, and reach out to me.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure that I'll put that in the description below so people can reach out to you if they've got any other questions for you after the fact. But thank you so much for coming on and letting the world know what a great city McKinney is.
It is.
So.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
She said, there's no doubt Mayor Fuller calling you back, or actually calling you first. Quite amazing. Yes, yep. I agree with that.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for having me.